Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, attorneys and prosecutors review key evidence ahead of jury decisions in the murder of Lizbeth Medina. Plus, someone dumps a sick cat behind a local restaurant. Police need your help finding them. And the Victoria County judge files a new budget, what the plan includes for services and taxes.
Well, something new has been added. We have a tropical system off the Gulf Coast. As a matter of fact, it was over the Yucatan yesterday. It is right here, right now. And as you can see, there's stormy weather associated with it. That's going to be rolling into South Texas, affecting you probably as soon as tomorrow. So tropical rains, we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And Victoria East football looks to make a jump under second-year head coach John Ford. We'll highlight the Titans later on.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry. Don Brubaker is on assignment. The man accused of murdering an Edna cheerleader is in court today for a hearing. Attorneys for Rafael Romero and prosecutors reviewed evidence, including videos of a Texas Ranger searching Romero's room and interviewing him. Romero's attorneys also argued for more time to go through translations of those videos. The judge will ultimately decide whether this evidence goes before a jury. Romero was in the courtroom along with the family of Lizbeth Medina. Medina was 16 years old when she was found stabbed to death in her family's apartment in 2023. Romero is charged with capital murder in the case. Authorities are trying to track down the person who dumped a cat outside a local business. Surveillance video shows a black SUV pulling up behind Las Palmas restaurant on Main Street late Wednesday night around 11:30. Then this morning, a customer spotted a cage sitting there with the cat inside and called police and animal services. The cat was not in good health and was rushed to a local vet where it is being treated. Police want to speak with the driver and passenger seen in that video. Victoria County deputies are investigating after more than half a ton of trash was dumped along Benbow Road in Precinct 4. Deputies found the mess Wednesday morning between Beck Road and Garcitas Creek. A county road crew cleaned it up, hauling 1,320 pounds of debris to the Precinct 4 courtesy station. No arrests yet, but the sheriff says using the roadway as a personal dumping ground is unacceptable and is urging residents to use the courtesy station, which is open Mondays and Wednesdays. This leads us to our viewer poll today. Have you witnessed trash being dumped in your neighborhood? Yes, recently. Yes, but not recently. Never have, or you're not sure. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to let us know. And dropped a little bit, just under 50% now is yes, recently, and no, never is at 33%. So continue voting and we will have another look at the numbers at 10. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller has filed the 2026 budget, lowering the property tax rate without cutting services. It boosts first responder pay by $1.4 million, covers a one-time fire EMS cost, funds an extra pay period, and keeps employee insurance premiums steady. The plan also invests in the health department, airport, and reserve county constables. We are keeping an eye on an area in the Gulf to see what that will do to our weather. So let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look. Mac.
Well, thank you very much. Well, big news coming in that things are going to be very different as soon as tomorrow. Yesterday, we talked about the wave that was over the Yucatan. It's now emerged over the Gulf waters, so it has a little bit of room for expanding. Now, the thing is that it's going to drift to the northwest, probably hit Brownsville, and then once it's onshore, it will cease to strengthen. Nonetheless, as far as we're concerned, we've got a 40% chance of getting this to become a tropical depression just before it makes landfall. Then that moisture is going to spin up into our area. So we're looking for some fairly heavy tropical downpours occurring as soon as tomorrow and on into Saturday. Hopefully Sunday will give us a little bit of a break. We'll have more on that coming up in a moment.
Now, Mac, usually we're kind of keeping an eye on the track or the cone. With this, does it really matter where it makes landfall? Will it impact us either way?
Well, yes, always, because the circulation will make a big difference. As we now know by experience that we have the weak side of the storm, which is the left side, and the strong side, which is the right side. The strong side will bring in that moisture into our area, but again, we hardly have a circulation in this. This is about 25-mile-an-hour spin. It's not an eye, okay? It is a spin in the upper atmosphere. It is moving ashore. If it were coming in below Brownsville, obviously we'd have a less chance. If it were to move even farther north, we'd have a better chance of getting more storms here. But it's not a wind thing at all. It is an area of low pressure, a tropical wave that will increase our rain chance. Now, we have it up as an alert day for tomorrow because it's going to be very different from the last couple of days. So tomorrow, the stormy weather is very likely by the afternoon hours, and then again on Saturday as well. Shauna?
All right, thank you, Mac. We'll keep watching. Well, a listening exercise. That's how the White House is characterizing Friday's meeting between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska. Maribel Gonzalez reports on what's expected to come out of this historic meeting.
This will be the first time the two heads of state will meet in 6 years, and typically a high-profile encounter such as this one would entail extensive negotiations over the agenda and the possible outcomes of this meeting. But details about this summit became public only hours ago. Still, international experts are emphasizing the significance of this historic moment. It's expected to be a short meeting with potentially strong implications.
It's a big deal. Big deal for Trump, big deal for the USA, and a huge deal for Ukraine and Europe.
President Donald Trump is set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday at the Elmendorf-Richardson Air Force Base in Anchorage as the war in Ukraine rages on into its 4th year.
It's also important because Trump wants to be a peacemaker. Really important to him to be seen as a statesman who can get things done in the world.
Trump warning that Russia will face very severe consequences if Putin doesn't agree to end the war in Ukraine during Friday's meeting.
It's a fool's errand. President Trump is trying to make a deal with the devil.
However, the White House is appearing to downplay expectations for a peace deal.
This is a listening exercise for the president.
Noticeably absent from the summit, Ukraine, raising fears Kyiv could be forced into an unfavorable deal.
It is strange negotiating with one side to a conflict while the other sits there and waits and is not invited.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders are emphasizing unity, urging Trump not to agree to a peace deal with Putin without them.
After the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for crimes against humanity and war crimes against Putin, there is no solitary reason that Putin should be given an audience of this magnitude.
Trump said if his meeting with Putin on Friday goes well, he'd like to immediately schedule a second meeting, and this one inviting and including the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Reporting in Anchorage, Alaska, I'm Maribel Gonzalez.
A bill protecting sex trafficking victims from some criminal charges passes the Senate. To read this full Texas Tribune article, come to crossroadstoday.com. Washington, D.C. officials began clearing a homeless encampment today. The city said it offered services and shelter to unhoused residents in the days leading up to the action and will continue to offer those resources. This follows President Donald Trump's executive action to crack down on crime and homelessness in D.C. He suggested people could be relocated far outside the Capitol. One social services advocate said moving people away from outreach workers and meal programs will interrupt services and traumatize them further. The D.C. mayor's office did not offer specifics on how many people live in the encampment or how long the clearing process will take. Key new data is showing costs rise sharply for producers and manufacturers last month. It's a possible sign that higher prices could soon trickle down to American consumers in the months ahead. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down the latest numbers from the Producer Price Index and what it could mean for the larger economy.
The prices that businesses pay for the stuff you buy is heating up. The latest Producer Price Index, which measures the average change in prices paid by producers over time, jumped 0.9% from June, lifting the annual rate to 3.3%, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data.
On today's data, it looks like wholesale manufacturers on things like machinery are really struggling with tariffs, and so it's going to be that kind of detail going forward that's going to help us determine where prices are getting higher.
Thursday's readings far exceeded economists' expectations for prices, rising by just 0.2% in July and 2.4% annually. Earlier this week, the Consumer Price Index for July showed that falling gas prices limited the average price consumers were paying overall, but that goods affected by tariffs kept getting more expensive.
The CPI print, that's more backward looking than this data. This tells us how producers, how companies are thinking about pricing going forward. So it's more of that forward looking data, and it's painting a picture of prices going up.
Ultimately, economists believe businesses will have to make a decision whether to pass down the increased costs they're facing to the American consumer. It's a decision Stu Leonard Jr., president and CEO of Stu Leonard Grocery Stores, says he struggles with.
The retailers don't want to raise prices. We're sometimes get choked a little bit by what we are allowed to buy it at and what we have to retail it at in the store.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
The Port of Los Angeles also reported moving more than 1 million containers in July for the best month on record. A potential sign many businesses brought in more product in anticipation of President Trump's reciprocal tariffs deadline at the beginning of August. The head of the Port of LA believes the rest of the year will resume back to normal levels after this surge. Today marks the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act, signed into law by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The program provides supplemental income for people 65 and older and also supports survivors and those with disabilities. More than 60 million Americans received retirement or survivors benefits at the end of 2024, and over 8 million received disability payments. However, the trustees' annual report released this summer raises warning signs. It projects Social Security will not be able to fully pay monthly benefits by the year 2034. That's if lawmakers do not act to address the program's pending shortfall. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, deportation efforts expand in Florida, where the new facility is located, and what it means for detainees and immigration enforcement. Plus, U.S.-Mexico cooperation leads to extraditions, how authorities aim to stop cross-border drug flow. Governor Ron DeSantis announces a new deportation depot at Baker Correctional in Sanderson. That's about 45 miles west of Jacksonville. The facility will hold roughly 1,300 detainees, with costs reimbursed by the federal government. This will be Florida's second such facility, following last month's Alligator Alcatraz in South Florida. Similar detention efforts are also underway in Texas at the Fort Bliss Immigration Center near El Paso. DeSantis did not give an exact opening date, but said it will be operational soon, and the state will activate 200 National Guard members to support 10 ICE facilities across Florida. The Trump administration has notable news ahead for Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. It's an annual effort on August 21st to spread the word about the drug's deadliness and naloxone's ability to reverse overdoses. Officials say this week the Mexican government transfer alleged cartel members to the U.S. Amy Kiley reports on what might happen to them next.
Today marks a significant and long-awaited step towards justice.
26 alleged cartel members now face justice in the U.S. after Mexico extradited them. The Trump administration accuses them of having roles in drug trafficking and other crimes. The L.A. County Sheriff alleges one was involved in the killing of a deputy in 2008.
We have never forgotten our brother, Deputy Juan Abo Escalante.
Mexican officials say the extraditions weren't aimed at pleasing President Donald Trump. They argue the prisoners were continuing drug operations from behind bars.
The decision is for our country's safety. These are sovereign decisions.
Mexican officials say U.S. prosecutors won't seek the death penalty in the cases. Experts note that could avoid a violent response from the cartels.
These extraditions to the U.S. may alarm drug kingpins in Mexico because they are used to the corruption of the country's prisons.
Trump says the flow of fentanyl and other drugs across the southern border is a national emergency. That's one of his justifications for imposing tariffs on Mexican imports. But his even higher duties are on pause. His administration says that's because Mexican leaders are cooperating.
President Trump's directive on day one was make America safe again. And that is stopping the deadly flow of cocaine and other drugs coming into our country.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Alex Jones InfoWars is going up for sale to help pay over $1 billion owed to Sandy Hook victims' families. A judge ordered the company turned over to a court-appointed receiver who will sell its assets to cover the debt. Jones was found liable for defamation in 2022 for calling the 2012 massacre a hoax and has not paid any damages. He says InfoWars will likely shut down but plans to continue broadcasting under a new brand.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Of course, another warm day with 94 degrees right about now. We managed to get up to 98 today. Didn't make the 100, okay. But the thing is, tomorrow, everything's going to be different. We've got that tropical moisture sweeping into this area, so it looks fairly wet for tomorrow and Saturday. And I'll have all that coming up after this. Well, all of a sudden, things get interesting in the tropics. As you can see right about here, we have an easterly wave. These waves travel generally from the east to the west, and they are a broad area of circulation. So this is not a closed low just yet. Nonetheless, it is a big swath of tropical storm activity, and you can see how the rain has begun. It's not that far off the coast of Brownsville, right about there. So as that moisture drifts northwest, it'll start pumping up into our region, giving us a pretty good shot at some stormy weather for tomorrow. That's Friday afternoon. And again on Saturday afternoon. Will it have time to develop into a tropical storm? I don't think so. Let me show you why. Right about now, it's at 30 miles an hour. That's what the wind circulation is right about now. It's an invest area, as you see right about there. And it does continue drifting to the northwest. So from here to here, it's less than 12 hours. Therefore, the center of it, the circulation, will be onshore by maybe noon tomorrow. And as a result, it cannot strengthen any further when it's off the water and onto the land. Therefore, what it's going to bring is just a lot of tropical moisture, and we're looking for some slow-moving downpours for tomorrow afternoon especially. Let me put it this way. On Friday morning, we will see them coming up the coast. All right, and by Friday afternoon, they'll be here if you're wondering what time it gets here. I expect it by afternoon and evening. So we take a look at Erin. Erin is out in the mid-Atlantic, not a problem as far as we're concerned. Of course, it's going to be very close to the Caribbean islands, skirting around it as a 2 and then getting up to a 3 right about here. Right about here is when I think it's going to start doing the big turn. It's going to get let's just say it's going to bring some rough weather to the East Coast, but I don't expect a landfall out of that. So it's something they're going to have to be dealing with. Now, these are heat advisories for much of the East Texas area. And right about here, already the valley, that's Brownsville to McAllen, is already under a flood watch for tomorrow, Friday. That's because they get it first. Then you'll see it come up to Corpus Christi. Then you'll see it somewhere in the afternoon hours here in the Crossroads. So let's just say tomorrow's going to be different as we watch that tropical moisture roll up into our region. I don't expect it to strengthen much further than what it is right now, which is an easterly wave, possibly a tropical depression, but it won't last for very long. So storms in the afternoon hours for Friday, storms in the afternoon hours for Friday in Cuero as well. And I put it up as an alert day for tomorrow because it's going to be very different from the last weather we've had for the past 4 or 5 days. It's going to be stormy and tropical and very heavy downpours rolling through, and that's for Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. Then decreasing activity for Sunday, Monday, and then we'll watch and wait to see. But at this time, it looks like it's a tropically active kind of week next week. Is that a word? Tropically active? I don't know. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shauna, back to you. Tropically active.
Tropically active. I don't know. Maybe we can make it a word.
It's a new one. Yeah, it's a new one.
All right. Well, now we send it over to Max Williams for sports.
Yeah, Mac, make that the word of the day possibly there for today there. Tropically active. Love to see when I keep saying that many times. But for tonight, though, that's going to be active here is our Athlete of the Week. Who will it be? I'll tell you that coming up in sports. With volleyball season starting up this past Tuesday, it's more fitting to give our Athlete of the Week to Victoria East volleyball star Haley Christensen. Here's more for our Athlete of the Week. For this week's Athlete of the Week, we're heading to the volleyball court and giving it to Victoria East player and Haley Christensen. Haley had 3 kills and 1 dig in their tough 3-set loss there versus the Goliad Tigrettes on Tuesday night. She highlights that she had no sense of nerves because of the team around her.
I gotta control it if there is, and just having a good team just makes it way easier.
Haley's love for volleyball didn't start by any accident. She convinced herself to try out one time with volleyball, and ever since then, she's enjoyed it.
On a random day, I just tried out, and then I started to play and I started to really like it, and like the people, the culture of it is just really good.
With embracing the culture set with volleyball, she kept that going at East, where she played under head coach Shelby Spradley all her 3 years. She describes how Spradley has been as a coach for her.
And so I would say it's pretty good. She's a good coach. She's tough when she needs to be, but then whenever it's like hard times, she's like there for you.
Knowing she'll be prepared for some tough coaching from Coach Spradley, Haley hopes that aspect and more team bonding as a team will help with the success this season.
Win a lot of games and just like get to know each other. I think of volleyball as like a big thing about bonds. You make good bonds, you play good.
Haley and East hope to get some big time wins in the Tex Fest tournament held in Wimberley this weekend. We'll see if they can get the job done, and congrats to Haley Christensen for being this week's Athlete of the Week.
All right, now over to this week's weekly fishing report, where it's going to be another warm, but it looks like rainy weekend there for everybody, so keep that in mind. But around Coletto Creek, just like last week, the water is slow there at 93 degrees, same temperature as last week. It makes bass fishing a little bit slow overall in that area, but around East Matagorda Bay, a little bit different. The water is good at 88 degrees, where people are catching fish by driving down just at the beach and just throwing it out there, waiting there in the surf, while others there are fishing out there from the boats area there around East Matagorda Bay. Then finally for Port O'Connor, the water is good at 85 degrees. We can get that speckled trout biting in the surf area, also the live croaker too as well. And redfish still by between the jetties area around the Bird Island spot there on Port O'Connor on crab or Spanish sardines. And now from this week's fishing report to Victoria East for our CFL preview, where last season under first-year head coach John Ford, they went 3-7 and had a lot of games decided by 7 points or less. And the Titans, they will not be without two of their quarterbacks there from last year in Kason Coley and Carlin Helms. They had a new man in charge in competition with St. Joseph Flyers transfer running back and Dedrick Callis. And with these changes on the offensive side, that's going to be huge there for East this season. The defense brings back a couple of big-time players, and junior Noah Shepard, who is prepared to make big plays this year after being out with a meniscus ACL tear for the entire year there last year. So he highlights how the Titans have worked out here this offseason, how he appreciates his time at East.
Everyone here, especially with the coaching staff and everyone new that we bring in, it's just a real big family, and I hope we can really make something special happen with how much hard work we put into this in the off season and the summer. You know, I was here even though I've been injured, and I just love being a part of this program.
Love that he's getting that recovery back, and he's ready for this season. He's going to his junior year. He's going to be one of the top players at the linebacker spot for the Titans on the defensive side. And tune in later for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. We're going to highlight new quarterback there in charge, Dedrick Callis, and hear also from head coach John Ford. And that's going to do it here in sports. Shauna, back to you.
We are back in a moment. Wednesday's Powerball had no winner. We'll take a look at the new record jackpot, plus your odds of winning it. Well, no one matched all of the winning numbers in last night's Powerball drawing, so that means the jackpot has now grown to an estimated $565 million.
Sure.
It's the biggest jackpot so far this year, more than the $526 million winning ticket from California in March. And you have until Saturday night to get your ticket. Estimated cash value is $258.8 million. Your odds of winning are roughly 1 in 292 million. But if you don't buy one, you know what your odds are?
0.
Exactly.
So there is a chance.
Exactly. The largest Powerball jackpot ever was upwards of $2 billion in November of 2022. So
wow.
Get out there, get your Powerball ticket, and bring the umbrella.
See if you feel lucky.
Yeah, that reminds me of what I've got to do for dinner time now. Well, folks, yes, what you mentioned tomorrow, it may be a little bit on the stormy side. We've got that tropical system off the coast near Brownsville, headed north. It'll be tomorrow, you'll see thunderstorms develop down south, then roll up to Corpus Christi, and then get into our area probably late in the afternoon. So slow moving downpours. I doubt that this thing will actually strengthen up to tropical storm system, but it will be an area of low pressure, bringing us some tropical rain tomorrow.
I could see a lot of rain. We'll have to see. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 10.